This is October 4th, 2018. Never thought I'd make it this far. I'm trying to get in a little bit of a jollier mood. But like I've said before, I'm sorry I'm going to cough again because this morning was super humid. The last few mornings have been just fog and mist, and it builds up in my lungs. That's why I can't stand being at sea for more than about 7 to 10 days. 2 weeks is you people that go on cruises like my sister Melanie, you're nuts. I don't know how you. It's actually the alcohol. See, until recently I couldn't drink alcohol. And I know what kept her lungs open and functioning was, and what sailors love is alcohol. Because out at sea, you drown in the water. You really do. If you've never been at sea for very long periods, the humidity is just overwhelming. So, this is kind of a continuation of have you led a life worthy of note? And I realized that during the last video that I've never really introduced myself. And so let's do that now, because I'm right where I want to be after an early young life of being in places that I thought I wanted to be, but were actually horrific shitholes, like Colombia or California or other places. Let's have some liquid. My full name is Thomas Kent Kruger. I hate the Thomas because, for one thing, the first fat kid I ever met was in like 6th grade. Thomas Ribardo. He came from had moved into our school district from a rural area, and his family raised cattle, and they were just literally drowning in fat. They were, when you have lard, when you cook everything in beef lard, and you have lard for your biscuit, plus they were genetically endomorphic. I'm genetically mesomorphic, although it doesn't look like it right now. I look kind of more endomorphic right now. My ex-wife, was a true ectomorph. You couldn't hardly put up. It took me forever to put some weight on that gal after I rescued her from her beer drinking, money pissing away, pool shooting loser husband who was just starving her to death. She was 85 pounds and 5'7" when I rescued her. So I'm going to try to keep this one short. One of the reasons I love this place is it's the original Bird Song, Texas, not the one on the map. It's the place where more than 4/5 of all birds in North America either fly through or nest on this property. And even this year, the whooping cranes, last year the whooping cranes came 8 to 10 weeks early, and this year they even came 2 weeks earlier than that, letting me know that there was going to be a cool down. There was going to be an early fall front, but we're having a little warm spell right now, which thankfully isn't making me sweat too much. But my family next year in 2019, my mother's side of the family, before the Austins and the Hills, they, in this direction, they'd already landed on Galveston Island and were making their way up here with many, many wagon loads of materials in 1819 and arrived at New Year's Day Creek in Washington County, the county that's south of me. And the Moses Austin never made it here because he really wasn't part of the whole gig. His son, Stephen Fuller Austin, who died at age 44, whose sole contribution to the family was his ability to speak Spanish, from all of my research and the keeper of the oral tradition in my family, chosen by my mother, I know that the Austins were broke from Virginia. It was my great-grandfather, William Wayne Hill, who was the grill. This was his scheme. He had bought the travel logs off of a Frenchman and off of a Spaniard, and knew that this was the last warm, rich, black land prairie left on this planet, in which, if you chose to, you might grow 2 crops of cotton, winter crops, and no stress on your animals during wintertime. Zero. Winters here used to be, and have been in my lifetime even, so exceedingly mild that on Christmas Day I've got on sandals, shorts, and a Hawaiian shirt because it's almost 90 degrees. It's going to be different this year, though, I can tell. So my mother, which I'm sorry, I don't deal well with the humidity, which is one of the reasons I don't like to go to sea anymore. I haven't in a long time. Can't stand humid air. But one of the reasons I'm real attached to this place is because, number one, in 1912, my mother was born about 1,000 yards in that direction where the sun's setting. I may even tell you a real good love story here at the end. Yeah, I think I will. Yeah, I will. Screw the rest of the story. My father was born in Beat 5, Texas. They've even made movies about it, pretty bad movies starring Dennis Hopper, etc., about Dime Box, Texas. But the southeast of Dime Box, Texas was Beat Patch number 5, which, to the best of my knowledge, was actually owned by my great-grandfather, who bought up all these little grants around here from people in Virginia who never came here or didn't come here until much later, and so on. He built like a 5.5 league plantation here. He was the economic engine that began Texas. And I haven't found a single Texas history book or genealogy book yet that's anywhere close to accurate. And I recently had a talk with actor Robert Duvall, who's in love with Texas, even though was born in San Diego. His family's from Kentucky, yada yada. But my father was born off in that direction, in Beat Patch 5, number 5, in 1905, and I'm 64. You do the math. My parents were not afraid of doing the natural thing. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I had one great-grandfather on my mother's side who, Lawson Maddox, who fought in the Civil War, outlived 2 wives and produced 11 children with each. And I come from the second batch of 11. 22 children. And at the local museum, they rotate things in and out, but occasionally they show a picture of him with my Aunt Pet sitting on his knee when he's in his 90s. Healthy, vigorous, handsome man in his 90s. His shotgun, his golden watch. So there's a reason I'm kind of attached to this area and stuff, is because, like I said, next year marks 200 years. My neighbor over there, who's already pissed me off, E.J. Moser. E.J., you raised your voice to me and said, "Are you threatening me?" And you was in some mall in San Antonio. E.J., I've known you for 40 years. I've known your family my entire life. And yet you pull some bullshit that you learned off of television. I'm learning all you have to do, people, in case you don't know it, if you're not a TV watcher like me, and I haven't been in like a dozen years, is you can be talking with somebody, and all you have to do is they will state that they're about to take an action on your ass, And you'll have to do is say is, well, then I'll have to. And you'll never get past, then I'll have to. And they go, are you threatening me? Which under some circumstances is a crime, in which can land your ass in jail overnight, $300 fine, before you can get out. You're going to spend at least one night in jail. And these people know it, they've learned it, they've used it. I really told my doctor a couple of months ago, a month and a half ago, that if this next 2 or 3 wells come in good enough and I can afford it, I'll never leave this property again. I'll hire my brain damaged cousin to do my shopping for me. I'll pay him, pay for his gas, etc. And I just have no desire to be around you people anymore, because you're so fucked up. You're a bunch of sofa-dwelling, gaming, gay, hateful weirdo. Almost everything you do and say is learned off of television, and you're just insufferable lunatics, almost every one of you. I mean, when it can get to E.J. Moser, when it can change a man who's been a quiet, well-behaved, money-making plumber, he's got a great property over there and everything, and stuff. He's done well for himself in life. But if TV can turn him into a monster, I know it's turned you into a monster too. And now comes the love story. I've got just a couple of minutes to tell it. My dad, at age 22, realized that my mother was an incredible creature. 6 feet tall, tiny waist, big bazooms. She was ideal, family making, and and naturally curly hair, gorgeous woman. That's my mom. Love you, Mom. And but my mother, being a cautious person, but she knew since she was 6 feet tall, because actually at one point she had to wear her father's clothing until they got the local Jew guy, Manuel Feigenbaum, to bring in clothes from New York and stuff for her, just for her, because almost no woman around here was 6 feet tall. Anyway, my mother made my father wait a full, it was 6 years, I think. Yeah, she was 20 and he was 26. And then one evening, I'm going to end it right here. This is how my dad proposed to my mom. In the evening, near dark, he eased up onto the back of my mother's family's place, and as was his occasion to do for 6 years. And he eased up there and he sat on the swing porch with my mom, and he goes, well, it looks like I've run off all the boys. I guess you'll have to marry me now. And my mom chuckled and said, yes, Wayne, I guess I'm going to have to. She already knew that she couldn't marry a man in this culture shorter than her. She was already taller than 99.999% of all the men in about 50 adjoining counties. There's no chance of. So that's how my dad proposed to my mother is, well, I've run off all the boys now. I guess you'll have to marry me now. I'm not going to say my mother's name because that's part of my identity theft protection. I can't say my mother's name nor her family last name. Sorry. Actually, I think I said it the other day. I'll say it now. My mom's name was Nora, after Honora, and that she was. She was an honorable woman. Virgin at marriage, virgin until death. So was my dad.